along the southern border. When COVID hit, uh, we said, or I shouldn't say we, let me be specific. Former President Donald J. Trump said it comes from China. So what we saw was violence against Asians, Asian people, a rising tide of violence directed at them because, well, they're bringing COVID.
But you have so many buffoons who are following and believe everything that Trump says. And many of them have their lips firmly implanted on his bootay.
Right, right. Not just, and the thing is, when you say buffoons, some of these buffoons are in Congress.
Oh, they're,
right?
they're political in nature.
Well, just look at what's happening right now in Washington. The Speaker of the House was just ousted by his own party. The Republican Party right now is at civil war, and it's only going to get worse. And so what's happening, they say so above, so below, right? So if the leadership is at civil war, it is reflective of what's happening to us.
Oh, absolutely. Right? And if it's happening there and it's happening below, after a while, it's going to be happening everywhere in this country. Nobody's going to be safe. Nobody's going to be safe. And there are people who think that they got enough money to keep them safe. You're not safe because many of the people with money are going to be the prime targets because people are not able to live on a level that is humane. And so with humanity being taken out of the picture here in the United States that louds itself as being the greatest country on the planet, and that's BS in itself. It's scary when you understand and accept the realities of what's going on and what's to come.
Yeah, and it's coming very, very soon, right? Because again, for the two parties, which really, in many occasions, really just one party, right? They're always looking for leverage against the other party, right? Some issue that they can seize upon where they could say, you're not doing your job, Mr. Biden. And one issue I guarantee you is going to be crime. And again, the media and the government are lockstep. And, I saw this the other day. There was the community organizer in Brooklyn, my hometown. He was stabbed to death on the street.
Wow.
By a young black man.
Wow.
And the young man was caught on camera and he was arrested. But when you see that, when those images are splashed around the world, that is the face of fear, a young black man. And I believe it was Hillary Clinton who said that young black men were super predators. When you say things like that, when you put that out into the atmosphere, what you're doing is you're placing a bullseye on the back of these young men.
Oh, absolutely. And to allow something like that to come out of your mouth says a lot about your true character.
It's irresponsible and it's reckless.
Mm-hmm.
But for somebody like Donald Trump, this man is calculating. He's not the smartest guy, but he's cunning and he's calculating. And he knows how to manipulate the media. So yesterday, after his press conference inside the court, where he basically insulted and maybe even threatened Letitia James, who's the New York State Attorney General, she came on and said, this little soundbite that the Trump show is over. No, Letitia, you're wrong. Because every day, across the headlines is Donald J. Trump.
Oh, Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? It's gotten so bad. To be honest, I stopped watching the news a few years ago because I don't want my mind infiltrated by the bureaucracy and the political mudslinging and dirt kicking that's going on, because that does have an effect on your ability to think logically so that you can make rational choices about what's going on and how you're going to relate to what's going on.
Well, you know what? I watch the news, but I do it for different reasons.
Right.
You know, a lot of people, they watch the news and that is their source of information. And of course, this news have to be filtered. All of it, it's like food that has all of its nutritional value taken out. Same thing with the news. All of the relevant information is taken out, and you're given what's left.
Yeah, absolutely. Right?
But I look at it and I see things that are coming, right? You know, right now with the speaker of the House now vacated, Congress can't do anything. You have to have a speaker in place in order to push legislation through Congress. So now, a week or so ago, we were at the point of a government shutdown. Now, let's talk a little bit about this government shutdown. It's not a real shutdown because Congress gets their paycheck.
Oh, right. You better.
Right.
You better know. Okay.
The people who work every day, who live paycheck to paycheck, they're not getting paid. But the people who want to stop the shutdown, who want to create chaos because they have a personality conflict, they're going to get paycheck every 2 weeks. So it's easy for them to shut it down.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Right. It doesn't affect them.
Right. Not one bit. They're going to get their pay and their benefits.
Yeah.
But for those poor people, those middle class people that have been struggling for generations now, because the cost of living is out of control.
Oh, it is absolutely. There's certain foods I don't even buy anymore because I can't afford it. You know, I mean, there are 5 people in my household.
Right.
And to buy enough to feed all 5, let's take a pack of oxtails.
Oh, ridiculous.
1 pack of oxtails would feed 1 person.
Right.
It's not even enough to feed a whole family, and it's $20 to $25
right.
per pack. What kind of craziness is that? You know, I used to be able to get water for $2 a case of water for $2 and some change.
Right.
Now it's $5.
I bought some for eight at DJ's.
Good God Almighty!
Now,
did they have 100 bottles in it?
No, I wish.
You know.
Well, here's the thing. You know, a friend of mine from England used to put me on, and she was talking about. She showed me a video of this person, this professor, talking about all the places that England conquered. England was a very, very rich country, very small country, very, very rich. Well, with all of this conquering and all of this accumulation of wealth from the colonies, why are there poor people in England? In America, we say we are the richest country on the planet. We have been saying that for decades.
For eons.
If that is the case, why are there poor people in America? And I'm not talking about people who are recent immigrants. I'm talking about people who have been here for generations.
Right.
Why are we dealing with poverty? You know, I think that people need to understand that things like poverty don't just happen. These are created conditions.
They are created conditions on purpose.
Right.
On purposely created conditions.
Absolutely. Purposeful creation of poverty, right? And, you know, right now with all the chaos in Washington, even with all of that going on with, Kevin McCarthy being ousted, with the Republican Party wanting to, I guess, clobber the hell out of Matt Gaetz, the reality is that these folks are going to come together on a certain issue.
Oh, yeah.
They are going to continue to send taxpayer money to Ukraine. That's going to happen, right? Whether we like it or not. Yes, we have people in this country that can't afford their prescription drugs, can't afford to send their children to college, can barely afford to eat, keep a roof over their head.
Absolutely.
But we are going to send more money to Ukraine. I think the current allocation has been close to $77 billion. And we can't get student loan forgiveness for these students who just won't get an education.
Absolutely. And be able to live after they get that education.
Absolutely.
Because the student loan paybacks are so large that they're not able to even really live up to the standard of those degrees.
No, they are not. And, that's going to happen. Ukraine is going to get that funding because we love it. But I can guarantee you there will also be funding for 3%.
Oh, absolutely. But they won't be funding mental health conditions because, when you look at the multiple mass shootings that go on in this country, that is a sign that there needs to be more mental health intervention, but not the amount of money that's required to address this issue to stop these mass shootings is being done. They could care less. Most times, children are not being shot up and killed.
Right.
Their families are not being shot up and killed. Mm-hmm. They don't care.
Nope.
It is what it is. And people need to look at this picture and understand that politics is not about the people.
It's not. Politics is about, accumulating power.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
And not sharing that power. But I just think that this is a conversation that families or families need to have to understand what's coming. Whether people listen or not, I just feel like you have to do your job.
Yeah.
You have to make the information readily available so that if and when the time comes, you can't say that we were not told, we were not made aware. Because in this country, let's be realistic, and we got to be perfectly honest with ourselves. We have had leaders who have come to us and tried to warn us this day would come.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. King, Malcolm X, Farrakhan, Marcus Garvey, and the list goes on and on and on of others who told us to prepare ourselves economically, socially, politically, that we need to come together, strengthen our community, strengthen our families. But we have listened. In fact, families are drifting further and further apart. Communities are suffering. More and more people are falling below the poverty line.
And unfortunately, too many of us are living the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil philosophy.
Absolutely.
They don't, and a lot don't even want to know. I don't want to know, but I don't. Mm-hmm. It would behoove you to know.
Right. It's always good to be prepared.
Absolutely.
So, I wanted to open up the phone. The number is 888-304-4401. Again, 888-304-4401. If you have any thoughts, any comments relative to what we're talking about, please call in and just let us know what your thoughts are, as it relates to crime and even a little bit about politics. I don't really like to talk so much about, Mr. Trump, because that is what he craves. The attention, right? The news media constantly having the cameras rolling, the cameras constantly clicking photos and his voice, over major, over the airwaves and over all the different social media platforms. He craves that constant attention.
But that's what a malignant narcissist does. They crave attention. Mm-hmm. They crave power. Mm-hmm. And when you have someone like him who's been able to gain a certain level of power, mm-hmm. Oh, that's scary. That's scary.
Here's the thing. Historically, people who survived World War II said that if Hitler had been stopped at Czechoslovakia, we could have avoided the horrors of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
I think the numbers, and I don't know if the numbers are accurate, but I think over 80 million people died during World War II.
They were cooked alive. They were slaughtered in all kinds of inhumane ways. What kind of cannibalistic a mentality could conceive of something like that, and then have so many people buy into it with them and took part in it?
That's the scary part.
That's the scary part.
And that's why we need to listen, understand when Trump says certain things, he is sending us signals to his base.
Oh, absolutely.
This man is not making a mistake. He knows exactly what he's saying, and he knows message received. Again, these folks risked everything to go into the nation's capital.
Yes, they did.
They are staunch Trump supporters, and they will do whatever they believe this man has. So I think we need to be very, 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 very aware, and maybe even cautious, and watch our children, have these discussions with our children, because again, he said looters should be shot.
Yeah.
And he was not making a mistake when he said that. He knew what he was saying. He knew what he was saying it to.
Or who he was saying it to.
Yes. Yes, he did.
That was the code word for kill.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Let's be clear with that. Not maimed in the leg or in the arm, but kill.
Shoot to kill.
Shoot to kill.
Right. So it's interesting how in this country, we're not afraid to antagonize China. We'll antagonize Russia. We'll antagonize Iran, but we will not confront Trump.
That's absolutely an astonishing reality. But it's a reality nonetheless. And I think that people need to wake up and be real about who this person is and the effect he's having on so many people in this country. And before we know it, we can look up and we can have troops of Trump soldiers marching the street, looking for people of color and people they consider to be poor people and people who they feel are not essential to the process of growth in the United States.
We will.
We will. Yeah.
If Trump wins this election, and look, we got to be realistic. Trump is vindictive.
Oh, very much.
Those people that he does not believe are loyal to him are going to have problems.
Oh, yeah.
Very serious ones. He has already said that we need to do away with at least sections of the Constitution, right? Probably the ones that protect us from the government. So if you think that Trump is what you want, if you think that Trump is the only person that can save America, well, I think there's a scripture that said at some point, God decided to turn people over to the other side.
Oh, hello.
But that is what you want. If you think Trump can save this country,
well, it goes. I think about that saying, be careful what you ask for.
You might just get it.
You might just get it. And when stuff backfires, it backfires with an even harsher impact than it went out. So if you're willing to accept the consequences of ignorance, then so be it. It's coming. And you better believe it's coming, and you're going to be part of what it gets.
The victims. And you know what? I know victims is the right word. Because, victims would be an appropriate term. Now, yes, we do have crime in poor communities, right? Well, those are conditions that are created so that people will revert to crime, right? Because in this country we've never had full employment, at least not since 1865 or 1863 when the Emancipation Proclamation was supposed to take full effect. We don't have one. And now what we have is people coming up from Central and South America who are going to and willing and able to do those menial tasks that Americans no longer are interested in. So things are going to get a lot tighter. I'm just, I guess, encouraged by the fact that the UAW is on strike, that there's now a large healthcare strike against Kaiser Permanente, right? People are beginning to wake up and demand back what was taken from them, like their pensions,
Right.
Like adequate staffing. Because they'll give you a job in the hospital as a nurse or a doctor. Say, okay, look, you only have 15 patients to deal with, a ratio of 15-1, right? And you have to make sure that everybody's adequately cared for, or we're going to blame you. We're going to protect the institution that is the hospital, but you, as the healthcare provider, you better make sure you have insurance.
Well, if people want to understand why there's so much looting and violence going on, look at the realities of what's happening that's affecting the mentalities of those who are contributing to such activity.
Well, you know something? Sometimes reality can become blurred when you sit in front of your uh, programming device and they tell you that, look, people don't want to work, that there are so many jobs available. Folks, we have to wake up. Where are these available jobs?
And
what sector are they in?
And these jobs are not paying enough money for families to
Thank
be
you.
able to take care of themselves. So who the hell wants a job, work like a slave?
Right.
The rents are outrageous. The typical for a one-bedroom apartment is $1,200.
Right.
What the hell?
So they want you to take these menial jobs.
Yeah, they want you to take these menial jobs.
Right. Because that way they don't have to give you a pension, don't have to give you health care. The corporation and the investors will reap, the profits from you breaking your back.
Absolutely.
But you have to pay. You'd be lucky if you can get into a shelter.
You'd be lucky if you can afford the price of a tent
Mm-hmm.
that you can pitch in the woods somewhere and poop in the woods because you have no access to toilets and running water and all of that. And people actually live like that right now in the United States of America, the greatest country of the world.
Right here in Stroudsburg.
Right here in Stroudsburg.
Right.
Yeah.
And, those are the people that we cast aside. Those are the people that we pretend not to see.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I just think that for people, all of us, my sister always said that karma knows everybody's address.
It sure does. The exact address.
And when you have been someone that has abused people's trust, right? Eventually, it comes back to you.
Oh, absolutely.
And I can remember I worked for the city when a man by the name of Rudolph Giuliani became mayor.
I lived in New York then.
And I remember he went into a park with police officers and was referring to the current mayor at the time, David Dinkins, as the N-word. One night, I was still a paramedic, working overtime in the Bronx, and I always wanted, to say this on air. So I'm going to say it today.
Amen.
I responded to a police shooting on Nelson Avenue in the South Bronx. I want to say it was 1993. My partner and I walked into an apartment. It seemed like there had to be 500 cops there. And I recall there was a young man outside the apartment who had been handcuffed. We walked into the apartment and there was a young man lying dead on the floor. And then we were told there was another one in the back bedroom. Walked back there, he too was dead.
Mm.
Giuliani, who was mayor at the time, made this whole thing go away. And I can remember he did a radio interview, and in my opinion, he made it go away because we were called down to the U.S. Attorney's Office to ask about what we observed that night, and then nothing else.
Mhm.
And I recall Mr. Giuliani doing a radio interview, and he had the nerve to say to the grieving mother, one of these young men, "Your son doing out at that time." Not, not for sympathy, empathy, understanding for the trauma this woman suffered. Her child had to be there. Well, now, Mr. Giuliani, who I saw after January 6th, doing an interview, he was dripping 10W40 from his head. I think that's what it was. It looked like 10W40. But now he's looking for sympathy. Why? Because karma's come knocking at his door.
Oh, the karma's fast on his track right now.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? He has earned every bit of it. I always say that we were all born and deserving of the best, but not everybody proves worthy.
Right.
You got to prove worthy. And he never proved worthy, particularly for people of color.
He called himself America's mayor. Well, you want America's mayor, or at least not all of America's mayors, when somebody in the police department shoved a nightstick into you. Where was America's mayor then?
Absolutely.
When the young brother from Africa in the South, from in the South Bronx, was shot 19 times.
Amadou Diallo.
Where was America's mayor then?
Hiding somewhere in
his bunker, like he was on 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, now he's on the radio and on TV talking about the absurd charges. Well, Mr. Giuliani, you were the mayor when they were taking people's cars for DWI. They hadn't been convicted of anything, and he was impounding, taking their cars, selling some of them. How you going to take someone's car and sell it before they've been convicted of anything?
Exactly.
And what gives you the right to take someone's property?
Absolutely. But you know what? That's how he too is a malignant narcissist as well. Birds of a feather flock together. Let's be real clear about that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So he had no empathy whatsoever for people of color.
None.
At all. Zero. And I was part of that community of people in New York City who dealt with political issues for the Harlem community. And most people were more about themselves and being seen and being empowered than anything else. Not a whole lot of stuff got accomplished that needed to get accomplished. They got a few things done there. But the major things that need to be accomplished still need to be accomplished. All these years later.
Well, whenever things go bad politically, there's always a scapegoat.
Always.
You remember when Bill Clinton was facing impeachment, this whole Monica Lewinsky thing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, he had to bomb an aspirin factory in Africa. Scapegoat, right? Deflection.
Right. That's what that
Let me get the spotlight off of me for a few minutes. Well, now we have a situation in this country. The economy's out of control. Interest rates going up. Food costs up. Rents up. Mortgage rates up. Right? This country is flopping rapidly into the toilet.
Into the bowels of hell.
Oh, yeah. So you better believe Mark my words, they need a scapegoat.
Oh, yeah.
And the scapegoat will be young people of color. They will tell you that if we can stop the crime, we can improve the quality of life. How and when? Well, tell me, age and history in this country, has anyone wanted to improve the life of black people? What decade? Please, someone call in and tell me when a concerted effort was made to improve the lives of black, brown, and poor in this country. Because I don't know of such a time.
I don't either. I can't. I'm right here with you. I can't tell
Mm-hmm.
you. know, and I'm sure nobody else can either.
Well, they might think they can,
They might think.
but I would love to hear when all of this took place because I know I missed it.
I missed it too.
Yeah, I know certainly I did. But I do know that, these things go hand in hand. Crime goes up rather than do things like providing jobs to get these young men and women off the corner. Something like stopping the flow of drugs into the inner cities of America.
Let's go back a minute.
Sure.
Jobs with living wages.
Right.
Let's be clear about that. There may be jobs available, but those are not jobs with living wages.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not act like, oh, well, they're jobs, but nobody wants to work.
Right.
That's BS.
Right.
Okay. People want to work, but they're not going to work for corporations where the CEO get $1 million bonuses every year, and they can't even feed their family.
Absolutely.
Get the hell out of here with that place.
Listen.
Look, I'm about to start cursing. I'm trying to keep it nice. Trying to keep it nice.
Listen, I hear you. Because, that's what's going on, right? CEO salaries or their incentives and bonuses keep expanding year after year.
Year after year after year.
And I asked somebody the other day, I said, now, actually, I wrote this in my blog, state and federal, and even the city has minimum wages. So they have a minimum, the least amount they can pay you. But what's the maximum wage?
They don't list that.
They don't have one.
They don't have one.
So you can make as much money as you want, but they will tell poor and working class people how to live. So they have a minimum, but there's no maximum. So, folks, be aware, right? Listen to what we're saying today and have these conversations with your children. Because, yes, there is crime in poor communities. We all know this. We've lived it. But however, when the police come, and in New York for certain, they started doing stop and frisk. How do you tell the scholar from the thug? So these young people who are out there who committed no crime, listen, they are going to be stopped. They're going to be frisked. Some of them will be thrown in jail. A couple of years back, Jay-Z released a documentary about a young man who was on record for 3 years. Without being charged. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That young man got out of jail and was so traumatized by what happened to him inside the prison system that he committed suicide. 3 years of his life taken, and this was over a book bag. The person who claimed the book bag was stolen from them went back to Mexico and could not be reached to give a statement. Despite that, they kept this young man on record. This young man is captured on video being abused.
Sexually abused, probably. Let's be clear about that. Rikers Island is one of the worst places you can end up.
And to work. I know a lot of corrections officers.
One of my nieces works at
Rikers Island. I have family that works at Rikers Island.
She's a good friend. Officer.
And they came out very, very sick because Rikers Island is toxic waste dump. It was built over landfill. So all this garbage that they were trying to hide is now coming up. It's in the water, it's in the air, and a lot of people do sick. Well, folks, you know what? We're running out of time today, but we just wanted to put that out there because this is a conversation that we need to have with our children. Parents, if you're listening, please, I urge you to talk to your children because this is very real and it's going to happen. And there's nothing beats preparation. Understanding, listen, maybe you shouldn't be out at certain times. Maybe you shouldn't hang with certain people. Understand, and it's vitally important to know your rights.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you don't know, they will be abused.
Not only know your rights, but it's important to know the people who are around you. Listen, last night I was watching a crime show where there was it was in Canada. It was the biggest mass killing Canada had ever had. 5 college students were murdered by another college student who he came in talking crazy. He came in, you come in talking crazy around me, I go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he's got a huge knife, and one by one, he killed. You know, come on. You got to pay attention to the people who are around you. Are they sane? Are they too dangerous to be around?
And with that said, right, there was just a shooting at Morgan State University the other day.
Wow.
You know, on the campus of one of the oldest historically Black colleges in this country. So, folks, listen to what we're saying.
Exactly.
Right? Eventually, the government is going to have to crack down to rein in the crime that is now an issue before Congress, and it's going to be a presidential issue. And what's going to happen is more funding, more police, more incarceration. So with that said, we thank you all for listening.
Thank you, everyone.
And we hope to see you or hear from you. Send us your thoughts. Facebook, Real Romane. Email us. I think we have an email listed on the website. But let us know what you think, and we'll respond to your questions and whatever comments you have. We see you again next week. Y'all have a good night.
All right. Good night, everyone.